Hi everyone, Joanna's vlog. I'm bringing you another video in this series, and this video is pertaining to traveling once more. And this is especially for those who may be traveling overseas for the first time, or maybe they're visiting Europe for the first time. For this vlog is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to talk about specific countries. So the first one is Italy, as you can tell by the background music that I have here. We spent I'd say about a week in Italy. Specifically, we were in Rome, and then we went to a coastal area region called Cinque Terre. I say Cinque Terre. There's probably different ways to pronounce it. Italians, please let me know how, okay? But Rome was the main city that we went to. Cinque Terre consists of 5 coastal cities off the rugged cliffs just near the Aegean Sea, or the Italian Riviera. These are towns that you can actually hike to from town to town. Our experience in Italy was magnanimous. It was amazing. I'd never thought of Italy as a place that I would enjoy, but I found that I enjoyed it very much. There are some differences in Italy, specific to Italy, although I would say that some of these can be found throughout Europe as well. So here they are. One of the first things that we noticed about Italy are the corner markets. This is something that I mentioned before in another blog. There's not a lot of huge grocery chains. In Italy, there are corner markets, fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. You can get your water there, you can get these vegetation there, that type of thing. They even have like meat markets, places you can go in and get, your butcher meats and stuff. But for the most part, I saw a lot of corner markets, corner grocery stores. And this was something that was really refreshing for me. Every day, before we would tour the city, we would go to one of these corner markets and get our breakfast. We would get some fruit, some water for the day. Water because it was quite humid, and that's the second thing I wanted to mention to you. Italy can get very hot and quite humid. Now, I've heard that the year that we went, it was record-breaking, but don't think about bringing a sweater if you go to Italy in the summer. So it was quite humid, and it was quite hot when we went, and so we had to keep ourselves hydrated. So those are the first 2 differences with Italy. Corner markets with fresh fruits and vegetables, humidity. But another thing that I really loved about Italy was not only the corner markets, but the corner vendors, the fresh fruit and vegetable stands. This is something that was very common in Italy, particularly in the Rome area, wherever we were walking. There was a lot of vendors out there that had fresh fruits and vegetables. And these vegetables were very inexpensive, quite enjoyable, in fact. And we're talking watermelon, cherries, apples, bananas, grapes, things like this. And they were nice and plump, and they were amazing. You found this infrequent when you went to Italy, particularly around the tourist spots and around the greater metropolitan areas of Rome. Another thing that is different with Italy compared to here in America, and I would say is maybe more specific to Italy, even though you might find it again in other areas of Europe, are the cafe bars. Now, I did see some of this in France as well, but I especially saw this in Italy. The cafes and the bars are in the same area. You can walk into a cafe, you can order an alcoholic drink, or you can order a cappuccino. Very convenient. And speaking of cappuccino, there are no Starbucks in Italy. None, whatsoever. You won't find one. Why? Because they make their own coffee. They do their own specialty coffees. So if you're looking for Starbucks, it's not going to happen. Also, the other thing I noticed with Italy is the stores, particularly the small shops or the major stores. They would close early. They would close around 5 or 6 o'clock at night. That's really interesting. You don't see that much here in America. But you see it more frequent there, and I think that's because maybe it's more time for the family. Who knows? And again, I'm not saying that this is just only to Italy. This might be throughout Europe, but it's definitely something that is not common here in America. Speaking of stores and speaking of those whatnot, another thing that I noticed about Italy was how cheap it is. I got a couple of dresses, €5 each. That's probably equivalent to $6 American maybe. So very cheap to shop in Italy. You can get souvenirs, you can get jewelry, you can get food, things like this in Italy, and it's quite inexpensive. So that was a definite bargain. We'd spent a lot of money during our European trip, so it was a refresh of breath air to go to a shop and to enjoy the shop at an inexpensive price. Now, specific to Rome, although I'm sure you would find this in other parts of the country, the city was a mixture of contemporary buildings and architecture and antiquity. You could be next to an apartment complex right across the street from the Colosseum, which literally, that's what it was. It was an apartment complex right across the street from the Colosseum. Or you would have an insulae, which was Rome's version of an apartment complex from 2,000 years ago next to a modern building. It was quite amazing to see this. I saw a lot of this, and it was very interesting, very breathtaking. One of the other things I noticed about Italy was dogs. Now, everybody loves dogs. Everybody loves dogs. Wherever you go in Europe, they love their dogs. But I noticed that in Italy, people owned more than one dog. A lot of people own 2 or 3 dogs. I thought that was pretty unique. They really love their dogs. Dog lovers, take note. If you want to take your loved 4-legged friend, you can go to Italy. And then the last thing that I noticed with Italy was the nightlife. Now, my husband and I are not really into clubs or clubbing, and I'm sure that there's always an entertainment style. But I noticed that even though the stores closed early, a lot of people were out mingling with each other, socializing with each other, walking around on the streets, just enjoying. Whole families, young people, old people, just out and enjoying each other. Maybe there were some late night stragglers in terms of vendors, but for the most part, people were just enjoying themselves. A lot of walking around, a lot of talking, that type of thing. So anyway. Now, as far as the structure, and as far as infrastructure with Italy, there was a lot of other things that we noticed. We noticed that the food was fresher. And we noticed that lots of the streets, particularly in Cinque Terre, were made out of cobblestone. We noticed that the Italian men, particularly the older men, they all had that same look, you know, the mustache, the kind of slanted eyebrows, that type of thing. And we noticed that there was some kind of a respect for the older generation. So these were just some things that we noticed when we were in Italy. It was definitely an experience for us. And I would definitely go back in a minute. Certainly, I would definitely go back. And if I had a choice, I would probably live in Italy. But anyway, I will be bringing to you other blogs regarding the other countries that we have visited. And I hope to hear from you. If there's anything that you'd like to point out, or if there's anything that you would like to mention as a correction, feel free to hit me up. And looking forward to hearing from you. So long.